So it says the upcoming Harry Potter live service game will be a superb litmus test. This is an opinion piece, okay? So opinion by Sam Naji. This is coming from GameIndustry.biz. He says the strong possibility that the next big Harry Potter game to come from Warner Brothers will be a games as service. It's an enticing prospect, but not for reasons Warner Brothers expects. Now, a lot of people are freaking out, right? Because Warner Brothers said that they want, all games to be games as service, right? But we know for a fact off of that the Wonder Woman game is not a games as service game. And we know that the Hogwarts Legacy game, one of the best-selling, if not the best-selling, it was the best-selling game last year, Hogwarts Legacy, was a single-player game. Now, before that game came out, I said that they should do what Grand Theft Auto did, where they have a single-player game and then they open up to an online. I don't know if they make a separate game as an online game or if they add it to the already established Hogwarts Legacy. I don't know. Right? So Sony and Warner Brothers, Ubisoft, EA, and Square Enix are all doubling down on making the next games of live service experience, and video games analysts have said multiple times they cannot they cannot all succeed. Live services are being sent to die. Summed up a present state of affairs when it comes to games of service quite nicely. Now, a key difference with it is that, one, it'll build around the biggest franchise on the planet. Right? And with the inbuilt audience of children who are all aware of the franchise, no universe building is required. This is why I said it's a perfect thing, right? IPs that people love to become a live service game, hence why Marvel should have done well, hence why Suicide should do well, is because people like the DC universe, people like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, people like Transformers, people like G.I. Joe, people like Star Wars, right? People like Harry Potter. So Hogwarts Legacy sold over 22 million units and was one of the best-selling games of 2023 in Warner Brothers, embracing the games as service model for future games. So, to answer my own question, he says, it all comes down to recruiting revenue, constant stream, and revenue from engaged player base. Now, the issue is that the best live service model can be described as tough. The fact is that growth in video game spending is slowing down to a single-figure percentage point, which means the pool to dip into for live service spending is beginning to dry up. Now, what is left in the categorized spending cannibalizing? Simply put, the game it realizes in recruiting spending can only be successful upon a failure of other games, okay, that also rely on recruiting spending. To increase the pool, you either need new players or increase spending from existing player base, and I would argue either is happening. Now, here's the thing. Why is Grand Theft Auto, right? Why is Grand Theft Auto so successful with the online aspect? One, you get into the ground floor by buying the single-player game when it first came out, right? Like, you buy the game itself. Then they give you the online access afterwards, and then people do what they want with that. So they've already made the initial price for that game. And then the online, they already know their player base, right? The people that bought the game are going to be interested in the online, potentially, right? That's the base in. So now let's think about the Hogwarts Legacy. I'm not saying that they're going to make Hogwarts Legacy, the one that's out now, into a live service game. But what I'm saying is it would make sense if they did. And I said this way before this article came out. I said it way before the game even came out. I said it for Starfield, and I said it for Hogwarts Legacy, right? Hogwarts Legacy makes 100% sense to make it a live service game add-on to what you've already played. Because if you have no interest in it, then you don't play it. You just play the single-player game. But if you do want to dive into it, it's there for you on top of what you've already paid for, right? So they already know their retention, right? They already have the clientele. They're like, oh, well, Harry Potter fans bought this game. They like Hogwarts Legacy, and let's give them more of Hogwarts Legacy, right? So the low retention numbers for newly released games of service, Payday 3, our treatment of the philosophy, if we build it, they will come, is no longer suffice. Yeah, but Payday 3, first of all, what was the player base of Payday 1 and 2? I doubt it's anywhere near any of the other games that were live service games. So anyway, a game where Payday gamers are already invested in most of their money and time into, so why should they make the jump? So for many, jumping on the new live service game, which also low cumulative player base, let's also establish one which is all high cumulative player base, made no sense. So for new games and service titles to achieve unrelinquished success, they need to offer something new and original that gamers feel a sacrifice and lost time and investment from the old games and service titles. It's worth it. Now, this is a chicken and eggs conundrum. Okay, gamers will most likely jump onto a new live service game if it gains traction, but to get traction, it needs gamers. As Sterling has pointed out, and the list of failed live service games is getting longer and longer, and more titles fail to find long-term audiences, okay? It says one of the factors that accounts for successful, originally compelling gameplay, to boil it down to the basic components, will a new games as service title be fun to play, and to their deterrent of publishers of being able to forget that the new games as service traditional, should be fun. Here's the same thing though, and you can take games as service as a MMO, right? MMOs back in the day was, an MMO was here, and then all of a sudden another MMO came in. Now there are people are like, well, I like this MMO. I'm going to go play this MMO. Then it started separating, right? Like Star Wars had Galaxies, then they had World of Warcraft. People left Star Wars to go to World of Warcraft. Like, what's the latest, greatest MMO? Now there's MMOs, there's hundreds of MMOs, right? Then there's like blurred lines of like survival games that are like light MMOs. Then there's like Destiny games that are not MMOs at all, but they're also light MMOs. And they've taken MMOs and broken them down into separate categories within the gaming sphere of games as service, right? So they took an MMO and then broke it up into 3 separate games. Now you have your survival games, you have your true MMOs, you have your, you know what I mean? Like there's all these different ones. MOBAs are in part of what used to be an MMO. So there's all these games. So you could say the same type of thing going, well, what's going to keep them coming back? Well, one, you have to have a fun game. Regardless of what the IP is, you have to have a fun game. Regardless, okay? 2, you have to have an actual, if you get a good games of service game, it's got to be fun, it's got to have good gameplay. Now, technically, you can have bad gameplay as long as the game is fun, but if you have a good game, it's fun, and you have good controls, right? And then the IP, then the story comes in, okay? If you have a good story with those 2 other things, okay? Well, then you have a successful game. This all comes down to, well, you know what I'm going to say? Make a game, sell a game, okay? So for example, the new Sweetheart Games of Service Pal World sold gangbusters, with sales exceeding 25 million units in a span of weeks, but already retention has fallen off by some 84% since launch. Why? Well, there's other things. Not everyone's going to give that full attention, okay? There's also probably many reasons. When I asked my 10-year-old son why he stopped playing, he said it was because the game had confusing gameplay mechanics. And again, if it's fun, cool, but then it has to have good gameplay, right? So playing said because of the confusing gameplay mechanics, he then went on to straight back into playing Fortnite, where his friends are. The initial buzz to play the game, which also had the Pokemon world, was not enough to situate the durability. But here's the thing, you paid for that game. The company that made that game sold that game, made the $25 or $30 off of that game. And they don't really need you to come back because it's a single player game with an online access type of stuff where you can come back and play with your friends, right? So they're successful. Regardless if you come back and play that game, they can continue to make that game because we all know it only cost, what, $6 million to make that game? And they've made 25 million copies sold. So they're good in this particular situation. It could be argued that the competition from other established free-to-play games of service shooters drag away those gamers. These 2 examples illustrate the initial success does not guarantee longevity if a gamer get bored or attracted to the next shiny new game. But that's for any game. That's for any game across the board. It doesn't matter. Imagine this concept of, well, you're watching one TV show, and when you're done watching that TV show, you go watch another TV show, and they're like, well, you just couldn't keep the engagement. Well, if I'm done watching the show, I'm going to move on to something else. If I'm done playing the game, and regardless of what that time frame is, if it's 2 hours, if it's 200 hours, once I'm done watching, playing, reading, I'm going to move on to something else. Does that mean that other thing that I just watched is bad? No, it just means I'm done playing it or watching it or reading it, okay? The worrying part of this is both games is that they are fun to play, so even fun itself may not be a sticky factor of player-based retention. The sparks trouble. Now, given news from the recent report that 95% of studios are working on AIM to release a live service game, it begs the beggar's belief is the fear that the studio are all chasing gold rush after the gold has already been mined by those who came before them. That doesn't make any sense. If I make 15 games as a studio and one of those games is a live service game, is that really chasing anything? No, it's trying to spread out amongst your fans of, well, maybe ones like the single player stories, other ones like the multiplayer stories, other people like the PvP, other people like the live service stuff. Like, it seems a little, I don't know, seems a little foolish to me. The abundance of the games of service titles are all competing against each other. All games are competing against each other. Just because I'm covering games and someone else is covering entertainment news and other people are covering taxes all on YouTube, we're all competing. We're all competing against each other. I'm not competing just against people that are doing gaming news, right? I'm competing against everyone on YouTube. So your time is always against everybody else. So to say the abundance of new game service titles are competing against each other, no, they're competing against all other games. You're competing against time. I'm competing against game, right? For your time, I'm competing against games, TV, radio, whatever. Time is time, okay? So it says, by getting more successful, not less increased revenue growth and older games of service titles does not make a comfortable market for new entry. Repetitiveness of how attractive the market looks Similar to how only a few mobile games have dominated revenue in that sector. That's the same trend that has already started to occur in the console PC games as service sector as well. In a speaking event at Morgan Stanley, Warner Brothers president global streaming and games, J.W. Period, said the traditional gaming market has volatile and has also growth in revenue would also come from, where people can live and work and build and play in a world that is an ongoing basis. I don't think that's not the answer for everyone, but hey, whatever. That is all very well and good, but if you look at the list of most successful games as service games, most of them are not that. Data has proven that most successful DLCs or games as service are cosmetic, and most successful games as service gameplay lead themselves for instant gratification. Outside of Minecraft and Rush, world building has not been at all successful as a live service experience. One could argue appeal that Minecraft is because of the versatility, its ability of anything it wants to be for the player. It's also ultimate expression for personalization. This is a very difficult replication for the universe and established IP or franchise. Now it says Fortnite, on the other hand, is a huge success because of one of the best dopamine hit shooters on the market. To the credit, Epic Games, Fortnite has broken down to all core elements, and the games of the arena shooter entertaining are perfected it. In recent 1.5 million equity stake in Epic Games by Disney is testament to that fact. Now, both Minecraft and Fortnite are at the top of the games as service game because it constantly revenates themselves by simply to grasp as a perfect cosmetic microtransaction. Other successful games as service games include CSGO, War Thunder, Dota, League of Legends, which are all veterans of the live service market, making it difficult for those games to abandon these titles for newer ones anytime soon. Now, if they do move on to a new game, a games as service title, evidence of mounting up by players get wanted what they want from a short space or time, then they go back to the other try to test the favorite games they're already invested hundreds of hours in. Sure, if I go back, like, look, I played World of Warcraft for 5 years, okay? And then I stopped playing. It's been out for 20 years, okay? I've dabbled, I went back in there, right, for a couple times, but I never stayed there because I'm just kind of grown as a person. I've grown as a thing, right? So to say that no one's going to play these things and you're going to fight like everyone's always going to play Minecraft, like, I played Minecraft when it first came out. I loved Minecraft. I think Minecraft is one of the best games ever created. I do that. I really do believe that because of what you can do in that game and what it is and the longevity of it. But at the same time, I don't play that every day. Does that mean Minecraft is dead? No, Minecraft is not dead. It's got 350 million people playing it across the world at all time, okay? So someone's playing. It's a popular game. And to compare yourself to a game like Minecraft or Fortnite is ridiculous, right? That's like comparing myself, well, to Elon Musk. Well, Elon Musk is the higher tier of being successful in what he does, okay? Well, that you can't compare yourself to that. You have to take yourself and compare yourself. Well, you don't have to, you can make money and be successful. You don't have to make all the money to be a success, okay? So it's an important question for a new Harry Potter live service game is what sort of game will it be? Personally, I cannot see it being a dopamine hit area shooter, nor can I see it as being a purely sandbox experience. Narrative-driven games as service games like Destiny soon drop persistent in telling the expanding story because it will cost an absolute fortune in development cycle. Instead, focusing on becoming another arena shooter, news that Destiny 2 will also sell Ghostbusters tie-in DLC pretty much flies in the face into what expands in its own unique universe. If Harry Potter, and I've said this again, if they want to make a live service game, I don't think they need to make a separate Harry Potter multiplayer MMO live service game. You would go against what you already have, right? Because there's people that bought Hogwarts Legacy, and people really love what Hogwarts Legacy is, and they want to spend more time in that game. So if they could create something to add on to Hogwarts Legacy, where Hogwarts Legacy, if you want to play just the single-player game, then play the single-player game. And then if you want to go online to play the online version, that would be the best thing that it can do, like a Grand Theft Auto Online or Red Dead Redemption Online. That's how they do it. Now, those are two spectrums, right? Grand Theft Auto Online is super popular, where Red Dead Redemption wasn't as popular for them, but it still made a crap ton of money for them, right? If you take the Hogwarts Legacy and make a separate game, where it's a Harry Potter, let's say MMO, now you're taking people away from the game that you already created and then move them over to another game. Well, you don't want to do that. You want to create the game within the game that they already are in. That way, when they log into Hogwarts Legacy, they're either playing the single-player version or they're playing the games of service aspect of it. But that's just my thought. The issue for me is, he says, the Potter universe should be built around a good narrative and stay true to the universe. This is why Hogwarts Legacy has such a huge hit. There have been many Harry Potter games before, and Hogwarts extended the Potter universe and engaged with the player base. Games as service games, is a contrast, are designed for rapid repeat replay for instant gratification, long-term retention via constantly adding content, and while also at the same time designed to entice repeat spending via servable microtransactions. See, I think this person's thinking wrong. What you want from, at least for the Harry Potter world, games as service, again, you have the single player aspect of it, and then you just want to live in that world, okay? So you would want to be able to earn stuff, go on missions and quests, earn stuff for your dorm room or maybe your own house or village, right? Something you build up with the community and have your own little section in there. That's how you continue giving them access. You don't want people to be like, you're not making an MMO. You're not making an MMO. You're making a games as service. You're just trying to get people that like that stuff to come back. Like, look at Fortnite. Fortnite doesn't do anything where you're building anything or doing anything. You're just shooting, going in. You're going into a 100-player base battle royale, build, no build. You're now playing Lego Fortnite. You're now playing the Rock Band thing. You're now playing the Rocket League thing. You're now doing different missions where people build their own game. That's a live service game, and it has nothing to do with constantly giving like MMO type of stuff. It's just a whole bunch of different things where you're done with this, you move over here. You're done with this, you move over here, but you're still inside Fortnite, okay? This means sometimes extending their universe to explore tie-ins. Just look at Fortnite's DLC. How they all have successful implement into Harry Potter universe, which is somewhat limited by their own universe rules. It will not be an easy task of getting a formulated right between fans, universe relevance, and increasing monetization and sustaining players' retention. Will be more alchemy than science. One thing is for sure, making the game fun to play every time it's booted days, weeks, and years down the line will require a huge investment on the part of publisher. This is not a release once only commitment. This requires a roadmap, creativity, expenditure, and also staying within the confines of the Potter universe. Again, Hogwarts Legacy already has all of that stuff, okay? Let's just quickly delve into a supply side of games as service. Although there's little to the way of hard facts on how much it costs to make or run a games as service title, there are some basic principles that we can apply to costing. He says, firstly, unlike traditional pay-once games, games as service need consistent additions with cosmetic gameplay and season passes, DLCs to make them relevant and also sustain its audience. Many traditional games today require numerous patches after release, but after a certain time, even those patches will come to an end, and that also means that the game is done, okay? Well, that doesn't mean patches are fixing the game. Patches doesn't mean the game is done if they have no more patch. Project teams can also then move on to their next big thing. This is not the case for games as service. For games as service titles, there's a runaway success. Everyone needs to be worked on constantly, both supplier and consumer. It becomes a narrative-ending project to stay relevant. Hence why a lot of these live service games let you build your own maps. They have like a forge mode or creative mode, because that takes a lot of pressure off of the actual developers themselves, because the players that love playing the game are going to continue making stuff. Hence Minecraft, hence Fortnite, right? But for those particular things, right? Hence No Man's Sky is a games as service game, yet they're constantly don't charge anything. There's zero microtransactions in No Man's Sky, and yet that's a games as service game, okay? Development team can also use AI to help create a new content, but also new content will also need to be good diminishing returns on investment. Although AI can be dampened down cost and also first need to prove itself, that can deliver on a creativity and also a weight of human teams or make them work effectively. The fact is, whether AI or human, the cost of enhancing of games as service experience could end up higher than the returns of microtransaction revenues. If the new content is not compelling for the player, what happens then? What happens when players move on? They move on. You got to make a game, and then you got to sell that game. Will the publisher just pull the plug or call it a day? Well, it all depends on how, good or bad your game is. It says we've seen a sort of thing before with games such as Babylon Fall or Chocobo GP. The optics in which was not great. As Sterling was pointed out, the hard stop can be a bitter pill to swallow for those gamers who invested in fails in games as service titles, both in money and time. They expected some degree of longevity personally, and whether I see this happen, it cannot help to think that farewell message from the dolphins in the Hitchhiker's Guide of the Galaxy. So long and thanks for all the fish. It might be at first feel humorous, but it also keeps happening, and chances are attracting gamers to new games as service titles in the future become even more precarious. This also could explain the established games as service are doing so well. It's also because they have also been around for long enough to have won hearts, minds, and wallets of loyal audiences. Although not strictly games as service business, Roblox Corp can give you an insight on the economics of running a live service model, Roblox is somewhat complicated by fact and more of a platform which runs numerous games as service titles. So does Fortnite. The company makes money from microtransactions from user-generated content, which also must pay royalties. This means that the similarities between the two models essentially are both relied on microtransactions as income, but both rely on the consistent flow of new content to make those microtransactions happen. Sarge, thank you very much for the 13 months. Appreciate that. To the date, Roblox has not made a profit, which is also a compounding problem is the fact that the top line revenues increase year over year. So you have the losses as to whether there's also direct correlation between the two, if it's hard to say, but you also see the graph of R&D costs of keeping pace with revenue. This is economic model is repeatable with games as service titles. I suspect it is. Okay, so you can see Roblox finances. Okay, the revenues here is going up. Okay, developer exchange fees. Okay, is also going up, but they also constantly research and development also goes up. Okay, everything's going up, but at the same time, the net income is going down. To include maybe Warner Brothers can be successful while relying on the Harry Potter games as service that enjoys longevity with the healthy install base like Minecraft or Fortnite. So far, Warner Brothers' attempt to Suicide Squad kill the Justice League, which is built around another well-known brand, DC Universe, okay, include them in the triumph. Now, I would say this is idea for about the kids, but what they want from the games as service is what they do want from Harry Potter game. What they want from a Harry Potter games as service, and also to reconcile that it's also Harry Potter's games as service is important because it's relevant, especially after the success of Hogwarts Legacy. This is what I'm saying earlier in the article. They already have the clientele. They know they have 22 million people that bought Hogwarts Legacy. That's already people that own that game. Now, obviously, maybe some people sold it off to GameStop or whatnot, but they know they have 22 million people that are interested in Hogwarts Legacy. They would be idiots to go make Hogwarts games as service, right? Or Harry Potter MMO, okay? They literally have the clientele. To say that these people, these 22 million people are going to buy the next Harry Potter game that comes out, that's not guaranteed. What's guaranteed is there's 22 million people that bought this game, and if you add a games as service on top of this game, that would be way more successful since, one, you already have the map. Two, you already have the assets. Three, you already have the story and stuff is there that you can keep adding to what people already like. Okay? He says, I would also say that Identical All About the Kids, I already read that part, for video game analysts and new games will be perfect litmus tests to see whether the games as service has a future outside of the titles of Fortnite, Minecraft, Roblox, League of Legends, Call of Duty, Warzone, Destiny, Apex Legends, amongst others. So for Warner Brothers, the stakes are much higher than I wish them luck. One of my final thoughts, he says, is Warner Brothers cannot succeed with Harry Potter as a games as service, then quite frankly, I see little future in realizing that new games as service titles because of new games will either DOA, which is dead on arrival, or have a short lifespan from increased competition by older games as service titles that will fight back to hold on to the market share. Shame, as a lot of video game studios are now pinning their hopes on this model. Again, I think a lot of people, I mean, if you look at a lot of the games that are successful, there's a lot of successful games of service games in different avenues, right? Now, look at what Warner Brothers is doing. One of their games that we're coming out with is Multiverse of Multiverse, right? Multiverses, right? That fighting game, okay, which was out and then it was here for a year and then it left for a year. It's coming back out on May 28th. That's a live service, right? That's a games of service game. That's not a games of service game like an online, like a Grand Theft Auto. That's also not like a Destiny, right? That's a fighting game, right? Minimal viable product where you have two people fighting, or four people fighting actually, and you can keep bringing in different IPs into that thing. That keeps people coming back to play that game, right? So you don't have to have this Grand Theft Auto Online or Minecraft or Fortnite for a games of service game to work. They can do this in different ways, and they all don't have to be successful, because if one thing, right? If one thing is successful, Fortnite's successful. So if Epic wants to experiment with other things, this is covering of the cost of that, okay? Minecraft, Mojang, right? They made Minecraft. Minecraft Dungeons came out, didn't do as well, sold well. It was profitable for them. But then there's Minecraft, what was the one that just came out? Minecraft Legend. Didn't do very well. Actually, like, bombed, okay? In the over the scheme things. Well, what is Mojang doing? Are they freaking out? No, because Minecraft itself covers the cost of the Minecraft Legends that didn't make it. Movie studios do this, TV studios do this, right? 14 movies come out, 10 movies come out. One movie is going to make a crap ton of money. 2 movies are going to make barely break even, and then everything else is going to lose money. But those 3 films cover the cost of everything else, and they make money, and the studio still survives. That's how it used to work. Now, not so much with the live service, with the streaming services and whatnot. But these are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. Where do you think that they should go, Warner Brothers should go with this live service aspect or games of service, right? Do you think they should make a separate Harry Potter MMO to compete against not only their own people that they bought Hogwarts Legacy, but every MMO out there and also all the other live service games out there? Or do they already take and supplement what's already in, not supplement, that's the wrong word, or do they already tap into the fan base that are in Hogwarts Legacy and then just add a online service to that? Let me know in the comment section down below. Please make sure you share, like, and subscribe. If you like what we do here, check out some of our other videos. Thanks for watching.